So this is your like cardinal rules. So you just take down the notes also. While the PPT is running, you take down the notes also. So this is your cardinal rules, or you say important rules while taking the crime scene photograph. So for like these are the major points while you take the photograph on the crime scene. So what the first rule says is fill the frame. Second is maximize depth of field, and third it says keep the film plane parallel. Okay, so if we talk about the first point, what it says is fill the frame. So what it actually means, filling the frame. So it means to say that suppose if you see like 4 pictures you are able to see in your screen. Okay, so if you see the first picture in the left hand side, upward side, so you will be able to see like there is a gun. So suppose there is an evidence which is lying on the ground. So how you are going to take the photograph, how you are going to record that particular photo. So in order to record that photo, so first rule is to avoid the unnecessary like whatever material is present along with your evidence. So once you enter into the crime scene, so for the photography, the rule is take the maximum photographs. Okay. So it doesn't mean that you go on taking n number of photographs and irrelevant photographs. So for that particular crime scene or any particular crime scene, first thing is we should know what needs to be photographed. Okay. So if there is incident relating to shooting, so suppose as we relate with the picture, so if there is some firearm present on the crime scene, so obviously like the firearm might have is involved in the scene. So the main important thing is here an evidence is your firearm. So if you need to photograph that firearm, so we'll also make sure that while photographing, while taking the record of the firearm, nothing unnecessary is being recorded or photographed into that particular photograph. So fill the frame means once you are clicking the photo, so in the photo, what evidence or what specific object that you are recording, only that should be there in your photograph. Nothing irrelevant should not be there. Okay. So if you see like on the right side of your screen, on the bottom side, you'll be seeing some extra object is also present. So your photograph, like while clicking the photograph, your gun is present somewhere here. Okay. Can you see the cursor?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
so this is your photo. This is your firearm, which needs to be photographed. So if you are taking the photograph for your evidence, that should not comprise or that should not include these extra material. Okay. So we should fill the frame in such a manner that only that particular evidence, in this case, the firearm is there. So that full frame, while taking the photograph, your full frame of the camera should only capture that particular evidence and nothing extra should be there in the photograph. Okay. So that is what it is saying. Rule number 1, that is filling the frame or fill the frame of your camera with that particular evidence. Okay. So the picture should reflect or the picture should show you the relevant object that you have recorded and nothing extra. Okay. So the rule number 1 is fill the frame of the photograph with the subject of matter that you are recording, used to capture images of single evidence or a specific area of the crime scene. Get closer to the primary object or the scene of interest, make bigger in the image captured, eliminate unwanted and unnecessary area. Okay, so this is your unnecessary area. So if you are taking a photograph, make sure that unwanted things you are not capturing. You are only capturing the what evidence is important to your investigation. Okay. So after that, suppose this is your second example. So in this, if you see about, if you say about the filling the frame, okay. So in this, the advantage why we are saying that filling the frame is like when you fill the frame, if you have only that particular, mute your audios. If you fill your frame of the camera with your photograph, the thing is the evidence will be more legible. It will be more clear if you see. Okay, so if you see the example here, in the first photograph, we are very close to the photograph. Still, what it is, some extra material is already there. Okay, and there is some shadow also here. So photographing any object or any evidence, make sure that you get very close to it. Okay, when you go very close to it, the advantage is like you can also record some fine details on that. Okay, suppose this is the knife that you are going to record, and in case if you have some like fingerprint is there or some blood stain is there, or there is some company badge on this knife, so what will happen is if you go close to that and take a photograph, so this company, if there is some marking on that on the knife, so you'll be able to record that thing also. Okay, so we'll just read this. If there is anything important, we'll discuss. Uh, the next point is eliminate the irrelevant part area when capturing the overall photograph of the scene, both in the background and foreground of the scene. You'll be better photographer if you hold yourself responsible for what appears to the left and the right of your primary object. Include what you want, exclude what is unimportant. Okay. So I have already explained those things, points. We'll move to the next slide. So if you see this, so here one more important thing is like shadow control. Okay, so with the figures you'll be able to easily understand what this word shadow control means. Okay, the shadowless image are preferable to avoid confusion of light, exposure, and incomplete detailing of the image. Shadows are caused by sunlight or by reflection flashes. If shadow cannot be avoided, just try to capture a shadow image by not allowing the hard shadow. Okay. So if you see the example of the first image, first set of image. So the first image here, if you see, this is a skeleton that you are going to photograph. And if you see here, half of this image, your evidence, the half of the skeleton is in the shadow portion. Okay. So our duty or primary focus will be to avoid this shadow. So how can you do that? So if it is understood like there is some solid object towards a right side, and the light is coming from that light side, from the right side. So in between you are having some object in the direction of the light which is interrupting it. As a result, there is some shadow on it. So what we can do is either you remove the object and let the light fall onto the subject, or an option is if it is not removable. So additional sources like giving the light from the additional light from the other side. So in this image, so in this image, what happened is from this left hand side, an extra source of light we can infuse, we can give some extra light of source so that this particular evidence becomes clear. Okay. So once the evidence is clearly legible, there is no shadow, afterward, we can just record that thing. Okay. So in the second image, for the second example also, if you see, like the shadow is present from this side. Okay, so the same technique we can use, like either we have to remove the stationary object, or the object which is causing a shadow on that evidence, or one more thing is either you give a extra source of light so that your evidence is fully legible. So in that case you can just photograph that thing. Okay. And in the third image, if you see, like while you do the photography on the crime scene, you will have to be very conscious